You started blaming the kids for your performances.
No, absolutely not. It was never the kids. It was my missus' fault for making me get up with the
kids. This is the official Leeds United podcast.
Right then, boys, Patrick recently shared with us the lovely news that Michaela had given birth to their gorgeous little girl, Amelia.
Amazing.
Huge congratulations
Absolutely
to both
amazing.
of them. Yay.
Not so much for Pat, because he's not really done much.
Well, he's probably not getting much sleep.
He provided 50% of the genes, so that's his part. Well done, Pat.
He definitely provided the eyebrows, I tell you.
Has Amelia got a strong eyebrow game? Has she?
Well, she's got full head of hair, and she's not going to have to worry about anything like that. Not with Pat's brows, and he's like a werewolf.
Oh no!
Well,
he is.
Let's just be grateful he doesn't listen. Eh? Becks, you've
That's scandalous as well, by the way. No, hold on. Let's talk about this, because I think that is disgusting. Is that why he's not tuning in? Because he's not on it. He loves the sound of his own voice. Is that what we're hearing? Unbelievable.
He only listens when he's on it.
Patrick Bamford, you're a joke, mate. I'm joking. We love you, really.
We'll know, because he'll drop a message into our WhatsApp group referencing his eyebrows, and that's when we'll know he's listened, won't we? But Becks, you've been there and you've done it in terms of being a footballer and being a father. Have you reached out to Pat and offered him any advice at all?
Not until he comes on the pod, no. Absolutely not. I don't know what he thinks this is. There's no free advice out here.
I wonder if he wants your advice or if he'd do the opposite.
Listen, I've been successful 3 times, I'm just saying. Do you know what? It's interesting, because you've got to have understanding between yourself and between your partner as well. And if you've got that understanding that, for example, training, you're going to be training Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the game on Saturday. You could get away with having a broken night's sleep 1 or 2 nights of the week, the nights that you are actually training. But ultimately, once you finish playing on the Saturday, you've got all Saturday evening, all day Sunday to spend with the little one, and to kind of nurture them and get that love and affection then. So that's where having a nice, balanced, understanding partner helps, as long as you're helping during the daytime. That's something that I found worked for myself.
What you mean by that is, Becks, that as long as your partner does all the night shifts, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
But do you know what? What's that like from the partner's point of view? Because I imagine, like you say, it requires a great amount of understanding when you're that sleep deprived to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I could just base it on my own personal experiences. Now, we had grandparents, we've had friends and everything that have come over, family members, relatives that come over during the daytimes and help. So it gives you a little bit of a break during the daytime. You have a little break, sleep when baby sleeps, wake up when baby's awake. And then, that worked for me, that worked for my missus. So if the times where we found it the hardest is when you don't have that outside external help, when you literally have to do it all yourself. And I know not a lot of people, not everybody is as fortunate to have, a strong support circle, loved ones, friends, family, etc., to help them on a daily basis or on a regular basis. But it does help to keep your sanity, because you can still feel like you are a person rather than a minder looking after somebody, because eventually it will start to grate away and it will start to wear away at you. And that's what I found. Having a little bit of time to if I've got the little one, I made sure my missus will go away, go and do something, have a break, go shopping or go for a walk or go to the coffee shop or whatnot. And then whenever she was looking after the little one, then I would do the same. I would disappear. But we'd also have time where it's all of us together. And that's key. That is massively key.
How tricky was it to separate the feelings and emotions of football from family? In that, I can imagine you sort of, you've always, you've got this winning mentality. You like to win and you hate to lose. And I imagine you could get pretty grumpy when you've maybe it's not going well on the pitch, or maybe you've lost a game you thought you should have won or whatever.
Nah, never.
No, never. How hard is it maybe on a Sunday after you've got beat on the Saturday to like when your baby's crying and you're already sleep deprived and you're annoyed? Was it quite tricky did your missus have to be kind of aware of that? Was it quite a hard thing to balance?
It was tricky initially, but I've always been one of those people that can take myself out of a footballing situation and put myself in dad mode, in home mode,
right,
in husband mode, in friend mode. So I've always been able to switch off from, everyday life as soon as I cross the white line playing football. Nothing else outside of those lines matter until I get off the pitch, and then everything kicks back in again. So it's just about, again, that social circle, that help. It does genuinely help a lot. It really does, because what I used to do, we played on a Saturday, but I used to struggle to sleep after matches. Always have. And so I would use that as my time to get to know my little one. So it was literally just the two of us. My missus will go to bed early, she'd have a full night's sleep or whatever, and then I would just be up with the little one up until about 3 a.m, 4 a.m, and then I would give my missus a very friendly elbow in the ribs to wake her up in the middle of the night, and I would go back to sleep. So I would sleep until maybe 11, 12 o'clock, and she would take over, and then when I woke up, then we'll alternate. And it's just about finding a balance, finding a structure that works for you. And just because something works for me doesn't mean it will work for the next person. But it's always nice to have those guidelines and understand that you're obviously not the only person in the world that's going to go through these situations as well, but understanding how different people have dealt with it. Like, I had lots of people tell me to read different books. I can't remember half the books of parenting guidelines and guidebooks and all that sort of stuff. I read half of them and they are absolute nonsense. I'm not going to say exactly what I think about them, but they're nonsense. Leave baby to cry for 5 minutes, and then you go in, and then you go out after 5 minutes, you go back in for 10 minutes, and then I'm thinking, none of this makes any sense. but somebody's written it in a book, so you try it, and it didn't work for me. I found something that did work for me, So it's just about figuring what works for you as an individual, as parents.
Like, was there ever a moment you're on the pitch, maybe you're flagging a little bit, maybe you were a yard too short to get to that cross. You think that was that little git waking up last night, and you started blaming the kids for your performances?
No, absolutely not. It was never the kids. It was my missus' fault for making me get up with the kids. Absolute scandal. I can't believe she's made me get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. What does she think this is? It's a joke.
All Leeds, aren't we? The official Leeds United podcast.
Jermaine, do you look back now, because obviously your kids are slightly more grown up now, do you look back now, you and your partner, I don't know if you've discussed it at all, and go, how did we do that? How do we get through that?
Every single day. Like, we're still going through that now. We wake up and see the little ones run into the room, and as soon as they run into their bedrooms and go and get their school uniforms on and brush their teeth, and we're meeting them downstairs for some breakfast or whatnot, we look at each other like, wow, this is crazy. How on earth do they know what to do? Did we teach them that? Or is it school? Or is it grandparents? Or is it friends? And literally every single day. And we're still learning. We're still learning about them all the time, learning how to deal with certain situations. Things that we, as adults, we forget. Kids go through the exact same situations, like making new friends, or having one of your school friends break the nib of your pencil at school, but you haven't got a pencil sharpener, and you need it to do your maths homework, or like little things that are completely irrelevant in the big world, the grand scheme of things, but they're so vital and so important, that these little people that you've managed to nurture and teach and grow are learning how to deal with situations like that. But for me, I try not to get frustrated and say, it's completely irrelevant. Don't even think about it. Don't worry about it. The little kid's an idiot anyway, blah, blah, blah. I just, you have to the emotional side of it comes out of yourself as well. So it's, instead of saying that kid's an idiot, go up to them and break their pencil, you say, don't worry, sweetheart, there's probably something that's going on with them that made them act out. You know, some people do that in life, and it's just about figuring out how to deal with different people in different situations, and, you know, trying to make them a little bit more understanding of other people and other kids. So it's situations like that test you every single day. I
imagine that the upbringing that your children have had was very different from what you had when you told us, you know, when you grew up on the council estate in London, and you know, the rough and ready was not very far away at all times. How difficult is that? To obviously you must be pleased that your kids don't have to grow up in a similar situation, but also you want to keep them grounded and, you know that the life of a former Premier League footballer is not quite the life of the vast majority of people growing up in England. So is there a difficulty there to try and keep them grounded and keep them in the real world?
Absolutely. Every single day. And it's tough because my kids go to a school where all the parents are hugely successful. So by me trying to keep my kids grounded is so difficult because, you know, you've got other kids who are pulling up in like Rolls-Royce trucks or Bentley Jeeps, and they own their own airlines and things like this. And I'm saying to my kids, look, no, you can't have that pair of trainers for 50 quid because you're 8 or you're 9 or you're 17. No, you have to understand the value of money. And then they're saying, yeah, but they've got Balenciaga trainers and they're like £700. So can I have a pair? And I'm like, what are you actually joking me? And I see the council estate boy comes out at me and I'm like, well, look, for 700 quid a month, we could have a couple of properties that we're paying a mortgage on, which gives us an income. So I'm saying those trainers there are a massive waste of money. Let's do this instead. And obviously being 8 and 9 and 17 years old, it doesn't quite go down so well, does it? You can imagine. So it's every day is a challenge to try and get them to understand, firstly, the value of money, that it doesn't grow on trees, that it's not easy to come by. But secondly, that you shouldn't base your happiness on somebody else's fortunes or misfortunes. You know, whatever makes me happy won't necessarily make one of you guys happy, and vice versa. But we're happy for that other person. And I'm trying to teach my kids that. But I also want my kids to have a little bit of the real world understanding. You know, I know for a fact my kids are fortunate, but I want them to understand that not everybody is in that same situation. So not to rub anything in anybody's faces, not that they would anyway, because we've brought them up a certain way, but it's tough. As I mentioned before, there's other kids that they hang around with and converse with on a daily basis who haven't had the same upbringing as myself. The parents haven't had the same upbringing, so their outlook on life is completely different. You know, they would want to fly first class everywhere they fly, whereas I see first class flights as they're nice, don't get me wrong, but you know, that's 3 more holidays that we've missed out on just because you want to fly in first class. Now, you don't get there any quicker. Everybody's on the same plane. I'll get you priority boarding. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's like 15 quid. I'm happy to do that. But, you know, it's just about finding those, a balance.
Yeah, and that'll help keep them grounded, and they will appreciate that in the long run. And it will also probably give them more of a drive and desire to create their own lives and forge their own identities.
Yeah, because Daddy was so stingy.
Yeah. But Jermaine, was there a moment, or maybe it's yet to come, or do you remember it, when your children realised who you were and what you did?
Yeah, like my eldest, Shante, she's 17 now. She's 18 this year. Oh my God, 18 this year. It's crazy. She's obviously seen everything. So it was easier for her to kind of understand what was going on. It's not easy, don't get me wrong, because there's certain expectations that come with having your dad playing professional football. So she has seen it firsthand for the whole of her life, and had an understanding of it for the whole of her life. Whereas my two younger ones, Nola and Ren, Nola's 9, she's going to be 10 in June, and Ren is 8. They don't know any different. So they've only seen Daddy, the football player. They've been to the stadiums where everybody's singing and chanting my name, or, walking down the streets and people want pictures or have a conversation, and they see that as normal. Now that's not normal, which is what I try to explain to them. But it's hard for me personally to say that to them, because all they see from me is people approaching me and, wanting to talk to me, or wanting to get a photo or whatnot. So that's their normal. And when they first found out, my little girls, my girls, they're not that bothered at all in the slightest. My little boy is football mad, and I kept on trying to show him certain aspects of playing football that I found easy, relatively straightforward, and for him to watch and learn and listen to me, because I know what I'm talking about when it comes to football. He doesn't listen to me ever. It's a nightmare. So he would listen to Joe Blogs off the street before he listens to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, I don't know. I don't know if you understand how frustrating it is. It's the most annoying thing.
Because you're not Premier League footballer, Jermaine Beckford. You're just my dad. And there's a lot of sense to you.
Exactly. I got FIFA cards and all sorts. But it's irrelevant.
But there will come a point, though, Jermaine, I reckon, when he's older, where he'll go, oh my God, my dad was telling me all of this stuff. And that's because my dad was Premier League footballer Jermaine Beckford. Well,
this is the thing. So we had almost an epiphany moment. It must have been about a couple of weeks ago now. And I was watching him train, and he was training at Everton's academy and enjoying himself. And then one of the other parents came up to me and said, "Oh, Jermaine, what can we do with my little boy to help him do this and that?" And then I saw Ren, my little boy, turn his head, and he went, "What are you asking him for?" And he said, "Are you joking? Your dad is amazing. He did this and that. Have a look at this." And the guy pulled out his phone and showed him a couple of my goals. And Ren just went, "What?" Like this. I've been trying to show him his whole life. He pays no attention to me, but some stranger off the street, and he's like, "Wow, Daddy, that's amazing." So it was that moment. And since then, all he wanted to do with me is play football in the house and listen to me. He started to listen to me, guys.
Yeah, that's
oh my gosh, it's the nicest feeling ever. See, this is what it's all for. This is what it's all for. Sleepless nights are worth it.
Yeah. Finally, I am heard. But in terms of football, Jermaine, do you get much flexibility when you become a dad? Because in most jobs, you'll get paternity leave, for a few weeks. What's it like in football when you have a child? How does it work around you, or does it not?
Doesn't really, if I'm honest. That's why you'll tend to find a lot of footballers have kids during the summer months in the off season.
Well timed.
And get married. Yeah, exactly. And get married during those months as well. It depends on the relationship you've got with the manager, with the coach, and your importance to the team as well. Like, obviously, if you're one of the key players, and you've got a very big game coming up at the weekend, but your missus has just given birth, you'll be allowed to go to the birth, but you're going to be playing on the weekend. So just make sure you're fit for the game on the weekend. So it just completely varies. It depends. I've been quite fortunate because I've had a lot of managers who I've gotten on really well with. So when my little boy was born, he was born in December, the 10th of December. So it's a little bit of a tricky month because the games start to come thick and fast. So I think I missed the game immediately after his birth, but then I was back not too long after that. So I was out maybe 2 or 3 days, and then back in training 2 days, and then a match. But then there's others that I know who, 1 or 2 have been to the birth of their kid on the Friday night or the Saturday morning, and they're in the squad the Saturday afternoon. So it just depends. It depends.
Is it something that some players might even, depend on the level of respect or fear you have of the manager, that you might even almost ask for permission?
Managers aren't necessarily usually in jobs for that long, if we're being honest. You know, anywhere between 9 months and 17, 18 months roughly is like the lifespan of a manager in whichever clubs they may go to. So in terms of actually saying it as soon as you find out, yeah, not a problem, because they probably won't be here anyway. But but the last gaffer's already promised me that time off, so I'm off. You know, so I think it all depends on again, as I touched on, the relationship you have with the manager. Now, I've been quite fortunate to have been open with every manager I've had, whether I've been feeling good, whether I've been feeling bad, happy, sad. You know, that's just me. You lot know me now. You know, I don't hide anything. I just talk and get on with it. You know, because I've been through phases and times in my life where I have tried to keep certain situations private, and I felt like it started to eat away at me a little bit. And it's the hardest thing to deal with something major by yourself. So I just figured, you know what, sometimes it's best to just be an open book, as long as it's not going to be detrimental to yourself, and just have that faith and trust in everybody that they're going to do the right thing with the information that you give them. If not, you know, not to let it affect you in too much of a negative way, because ultimately everybody's going to have an opinion, but not necessarily every opinion is relevant to yourself.
And what about your teammates, Jermaine? Did attitudes from them change towards you, or did they ask you about the baby?
Yeah, everybody's, do you know what? Football is like, I guess it's like acting. I guess it's like presenting, where you are in an industry and everybody is going through very similar situations at the same sort of times. You're always going to find somebody that you can relate to. You know, there's always a variety of different ages of members of your cast or your team or your buddies or whatnot. So you're definitely going to find somebody that you can relate to. You can have a conversation with about something if it's troubling you, but they've already been through a situation like that before. So, you know, I wasn't getting invited to the big nightclubs anymore, the Chinawhites or Belugas or any of that sort of stuff. But at the same time, I was getting invited to dinner parties, which are quite nice. Yeah. You know, it's a little bit calmer, the music's a little bit softer, but the conversation flows a little bit nicely, you know, a little bit easier. Which gives you an opportunity to get to know somebody, to really get to know somebody, to understand what makes them tick, to what, you know, and see what common ground you have. And if there's something that you don't necessarily know or understand about somebody, I love to listen. I can talk a lot, obviously, you know that, but I love to listen to different people and see how they manage to get to a specific position in their life at that time. And if I can learn something from that situation, from that conversation, oh my God, it's going to be it's a bonus. I'm happy. I do miss dancing though.
And how would you feel, Jermaine, if any of your children pursued a professional footballing career?
Do you know what? I would love it. I would absolutely love it, be over the moon. But I also know that not everybody is going to have the same passions or desires or dreams or aspirations as myself. Now, I had my aspirations and my dreams when I was a young boy, and I've been extremely fortunate to have been able to reach those and surpass them as well. That's just me and mine. But, you know, when you reach a certain level, you set new goals and new aspirations and new dreams, and that's how you continue to grow and to evolve. Now, as much as I would love for my kids to follow my footsteps, I don't want them to. I want them to do whatever they want to do, whatever makes them happy, whatever their dreams, their aspirations, their focuses are. I want them to pursue them with absolutely everything they've got. And if they become successful in whatever field it may be, in science, in mathematics, in sports, I don't care what it is. I just want them to be happy, focused, and driven. And that's the most important thing for me.
And just finally, Jermaine, which child is your favourite? I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh my God.
One came to the forefront of your mind then, though, didn't it?
Yeah, it was me. They all caused me grief and hassle.
Jermaine,
No, I love them all.
Yeah, that's the diplomatic answer. That has been really, really insightful, though. Thank you. So, fingers crossed, if Pat does decide he wants to listen to the official Leeds United podcast, he can take something away from that.
He probably won't. He probably won't. Save your breath.
Jermaine, thank you so much. Matt, thank you. As always, do keep your comments coming in using the hashtag LUFCpod, and we'll see you next week.
This is the official Leeds United podcast.